Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I think we got the best loot farm this season. Yes, it does take a little bit to go through, but all of these secret chests that you get chests at the end of each of your legs that you do. We are talking about the Coil, the new 3-man activity that you can go through, talking to Riven, buying some buffs, collecting some glass shards, and making it to a final room with platinum rewards where you can bring those layer keys in and get yourself some of the craziest amount of loot I have ever seen. So we are going to go over how this works, and it will be a little rotating. There is a list of the ways that you go through right now. You can see that right here, the pathways. It goes through the first steps, the Centaurium, and then back through the first steps. So that is the way that you progress through each of those. You can go through 4 of the paths, and then you will reach the final room, which is, if you get platinum rewards, it'll take you nice into the space room and get yourself a crazy amount of loot. If you don't get platinum, you just go back to Riven, and you have about 3 or 4 chests right there that you can open up and grab some pretty gnarly loot. Golf balls, Ascendant Shards, you got the Prisms, and Enhancement Cores. So this little activity is absolutely insane for farming this season's weapons, as well as a lot of the Dreaming City weapons, getting those red border duns and some pretty high stat armor as well. So starting off, some of the rules that you guys got to be aware of for the Coil. It does have escalating difficulty, so every time you complete one of those legs, the pathways that you are going through, the power level over the players will be by 5. So when you make it to that 4th and final leg, they will be about 15 over power from you, which is basically like going into a GM. Next off, inside you have the wishing glass. You can see right here these little pots that are laying around in each of the travel legs, where you got to activate the 3 plates to open up the portal to progress on. Make sure that you and your fire team are collecting all of these wishing glasses inside of the bottles. One, it gives you extra points, which you need about 140k, little bit over, to get the platinum rewards. Plus, you use this wishing glass to buy your buffs from Riven, which they are called Dragon's Gifts. They seem to rotate daily from what I have seen so far. So on top of that, the Dragon Gifts, like I said, you buy them at Riven. After each of your pathways, you get one at the very beginning, and they are separated into different tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. So each time you go through, you keep the previous buff that you bought as well, so you can have 3 tier 1s if you want, a couple tier 2s, but just know that they get progressively more expensive based on the glass that you have. So tier 3 is 400 of the glass, and then you go from there. So just be careful of what you are spending on and your builds so you can get the right buffs for you. And then, like I said, rewards at the end. You get some crazy rewards throughout with the secret chests, and at the end of every pathway you will get rewards. Make sure you got the layer keys with you so you can open up some of those chests at the end. And if you finish the Coil with platinum rewards, you get access to the Chamber of Wishes, like I said, where there is just chests on chests on chests. So be cautious going through with your revives as well, because you only have a set amount. You can find a couple on your way by breaking those glass bottles as well. So there is the opportunity to get them from a couple different options, but it is almost exactly like going through Riven's lair. We have the different paths where you got to, 1, activate the 3 plates while avoiding enemies, as well as collecting those wishing glass pieces, like I said before. Inside of each of those legs, there will be a secret chest though. So you can see right here, we are going to this secret chest. There will be a faux chest, a mimic if you will, that has the spikes underneath it, a little trap that can kill you. So be cautious of those. You can kind of bait out the trap if you want, if some of the glass shards that are around there, because there is a lot of pots as well by the secret chests. but that is just for those extra little points, but it gives you a nice little reputation for Riven, as well as a bunch of loot from those secret chests, and they are in between each of those rounds where you're collecting those 3 plates to open the portal. So just like in Riven's Lair, after you go through that first set of 3 plates, you go into a room where it's just clearing ads, whatever it may be, exactly the same as Riven's Lair, getting that poison, taking off shields, killing witches, and slamming the balls on the plates, or just wiping out ads in general and clearing the area, finishing off with a nice yellow bar enemy. After that room, you go back into the maze, if you will, if the pathway, and it'll be the same, going through, protecting yourself from pervading darkness, that poison, or the traps. Make sure you are, again, getting all of the plates activated to get your portal, as well as shooting all of the glass bottles around it to get that wishing glass, so you can purchase one of your gifts from Riven, so you can have buffs in the future rounds. Plus, it does give you points, and it is pretty close. Even when you're wiping out every single enemy, it is a little bit of hecticness getting up to 140, so you got to be on top of your game with defeating every enemy you see, as well as collecting every single piece of that wishing glass, so your score goes up. On top of that, with the wishing glass, I want to throw this out there, there is a yellow bar enemy that once you progress far enough into the final leg, I noticed, I haven't got it beforehand, but in that 4th leg, after you are inside of it, in one of the areas that you have to collect the 3 plates, there is a chance of getting the glass collector, which is an enemy that will drop you a bunch of points, which helps to push over that threshold into platinum, and it's a way where you can have that currency to get more buffs, like I said. So be on the lookout for the glass collector as well for that wishing glass. But then again, once you complete this step with those 3 of the plates, activating them, you get to your final boss room, or for that leg, I should say, the final boss room. You go through whatever mechanic it is. Like I said, just like Riven's Lair has a different rotation of bosses, taking off shields, shooting the arc cannons at some blocks to unlock the monsters, or just in general using that poison to take off shields. So it has a couple different options, but defeat those enemies, collect all the glass in the room that dropped from them, head back to Riven, and you will get your rewards for that leg. Like I said, the first one you go through is just a normal run. It gets progressively harder, 5 over your power limit every single time. So the second leg will be +5, the third leg is +10 power compared to you, and then that final 4th leg is +15, like I said, basically like a GM based on the level difference right there. So be cautious of your revives. They do go down pretty fast at the end if you aren't too careful about them. And then on top of that, you can get some, like I said, but there aren't that many that just happen to come back to you in the gameplay. So be careful about that. But like I said, very good, probably the best farm, if you will, for weapons and gear this season. The amount of loot that you get from the secret chests, as well as spending those layer keys at the end with Riven and on those chests. Super high stat armor. I got a 66 and a 64 piece from doing this, as well as just a bunch of red borders from the craftable weapons from this season. So definitely one of the best 3-man activities. It is hard, it is a lot of fun, usually takes to get through all 4 of those legs about 40 minutes, about 10 minutes per leg. So be on the lookout for that time consumingness of it, but it is totally worth it, in my opinion, the amount of loot that you get and those engrams. So definitely get your fire team together. There is matchmaking and private, so the enemies do scale if you go in solo versus with 3. Be wary of that. But again, lots of content coming out. Solar Stasis Strand builds coming out very soon. Almost done getting some of the little tic-tacs going on, if you will. That is just meaning my little tips and ends that I need to finish up on these builds, getting some mods figured out some changes and stuff from the season, as well as getting that Dragon's Breath totally maxed out, because that thing is pretty gnarly as it is. It'll get even better with that catalyst. So thank y'all again so much. I truly appreciate all y'all. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this season as much as I am so far. I know it's going to be a long ride, but we are going to grind out hard right now in December and January. Just absolutely kill some content and then switch it up maybe a little bit once the content gets a little drier, switching up games. So hopefully y'all stick around for that. One Eye Jedi on all my socials. Again, appreciate all y'all. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.